What's up, everybody? Sunday, May 23rd, 20 or 22nd. I always mess up the date. 2022. Last week, had to take some time off. Had my grandmother actually in the hospital, so I was dealing with that, in coordination with the rest of my family. So, didn't really have the time to do much trading or even do, well, I did do a little bit of trading, but I didn't have time to do the breakdowns. Nonetheless, we'll be resuming regular schedule starting tomorrow, pre-NY session, but I do want to give a recap where we are. It was a pretty crazy week. There was a huge drop, a couple huge drops actually last week, but we'll go ahead and get into that now. So here, starting out after that big drop last week, this is where we're sitting on the monthly time frame with about 9 days left in the month. So as you see, I mean, definitely bearish momentum is still intact, hitting as of last week, hitting the 30,900 level, dipped below the 31,000 level, and was hanging out, anywhere down into the 30,700, 30,600 level, even at one point started pushing back up, but we'll get back into that. But as we see here on this push up, which this push up we're seeing here on the monthly time frame again is beginning in the big drop in March of 2020 when obviously COVID hit. This has been the bull run since. And if we see, we're actually getting down now into about the 38.2 level. We're not quite there yet. But what I'm trying to say is, looks like it's going to be falling down at least that much further, which looks like it's obviously a level of support and resistance here. These weekly levels here I've marked off about 30,900, which we did break last week. 30,958 actually I have marked, and 29,400 seems to be the next weekly level of support and resistance. So also in confluence with that 38.2 level, I don't see what would hold it back from not hitting that. Could it push up, of course, and push back down? Yeah, but generally with these monthly candles, obviously it's, anything can happen, but you're going to see a lot more just continuous, flow overall because of how, obviously it's a whole month's worth of time in each candle. So there's really a flow unless there's a big break. Generally, I mean, anything could happen. I don't want to project that far into the future, months or years into the future. But in my opinion, I mean, I don't see a lot holding it up to make it quick, quick and concise. I don't see a lot holding it up from going down to at least about this level of 29,900. Maybe even lower than that. Obviously, don't want to start projecting. Just want to react to what I'm seeing. But based off of this, I mean, I could see this candle closing maybe even strong in the next 9 days down here. I mean, already touched that level last week, but if not, maybe more down here. But we'll see. It could also push back up. Anything can happen. But as of right now, main point focusing on the monthly time frame is that bearish momentum is still intact 100%. So with that, my bias is bearish. Looking at the monthly time frame, dropping down to the weekly, more of the same in more detail, making lower lows and lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. There was a push up, last week or so, but now that has been completely erased and continuing down with this bearish push down here. So this was last week's candle. It pushed down as far as here, about 30,600, and then pushed back up a little bit. But definitely, again, bearish momentum, I would say, is intact. At some point, it will pull back and make a lower high as it did here, and then obviously it will, we'll see if it will drop and continue, make a lower low. Again, don't want to project as I keep saying, but nonetheless, bearish momentum definitely is intact. So definitely still bearish on the weekly, daily, more of the same. Definitely, we got your lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs forming, pushing down. So I think definitely, we're having some, we're going to have some pullback, obviously, needless to say, but definitely still going to be looking for bearish moves this week myself. So drop down now onto the H4. Same thing, actually, just very nice structure, really, with these lower lows, lower highs. I did not catch this move. I marked it off, and obviously, marking things like off like this is just, it's almost like saying if I would have, hit the lottery, basically. But I did not catch this, so I'm not going to lie and say that I did, but that was a huge, I just wanted to mark it off just to look how crazy it would have potentially been, had I got in somewhere, around this level with the stop above structure, 100 points, as I say. as I like to do for what I've learned, from Wall Street Academy. Definitely, this would have been just absolutely massive. I mean, just trailing the stops the whole way. You're just trailing your stops your whole way, starting at, even here, 1 to 2. I mean, you would have just been trailing, leaving on a 100 point, which is what I do in addition to leaving an initial 100 point stop when I get in. As I break 150 points in profit, I then set my stop to 50 points in profit, and then I just kind of like let it run with that 100 point runner. But then locking in profits as I go is something that I've found has been working for me. So, but needless to say, I mean, this was just a massive move. I mean, but let me just measure it out, just because I mean, it was crazy. I mean, if you capitalize on this, fantastic, because this was crazy. I mean, well, obviously going all the way down to here, a total of maybe 1,600 points. Overall. But even if you would have ridden it down to here and then had a trailing stop and then got and stopped out when it got pushed back up to like this level, you're still talking about a clean 1,000 points in how long? A few hours. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 9 hours, 8, 9 hours. Basically, all of early, late London and NY session on I think that was Thursday. I forget what day it was, but did not capitalize on it. But it was great to see nonetheless. I was actually practicing patience this week on only doing really high probability moves, which is what I've been trying to do. I did enter a trade. I forgot one of the days that I didn't make a video because these videos are really more for me. I mean, I'm glad people get value out of it, definitely, but it's more for me to analyze and have a video record of my analysis and then use that to also share with the world. And if it can help somebody else, I mean, all the better. But, I didn't do that. I find that it's helped with my trading. One of the main reasons that I've been doing it, every day. And, I lost that trade. So I kind of left it alone for a couple days. And then I did catch this move on Friday. So this move here was freaking very nice, very, very nice, because you just see it bounce down here. This was after that huge drop. I think I maybe did a little bit of scalping in here one of the days, but I got in here perfectly. I'll even show, so you can see that it's not caparoni. What I'm saying, I'm not just making stuff up as I'm talking. Not that it matters, but also again for my own video record of myself more than anything, because I'm not going to remember this. But so that was last week. So going back to what? Going back from the 16th to the 20th. So okay, yeah. So there, I can't even see that though. Oop, there you go. That was the 16th. Trying to position myself here. How do I do this? Okay, there we go. 16th. That was the day I lost, that I didn't do my video analysis that day. There we go. Now I came out clear on the camera. And then this was later in the week. I think this was one of the days I was doing scalping. But then those last orders you see there, all those 31 fives, those were here, this entry here. And I actually had even a couple pending orders set right at 35 and 31,550, which hit in late London session. If you see there, 31.5 and 31,550. So it was like the optimal. This was like probably one of the best trades I've ever taken so far. Even though it was on demo, still, I mean, it was just textbook. Structure perfectly, bounced down after that huge drop, laid out my fib here. I know I got a few things going on here, so just to make it clear, this fib right here, starting at this point, laid it out to the lowest point here, and then it pushed back up. This was also in confluence with this zone that I had laid out after just this previous week. Laid out this zone on the H4, this area here that I see every time price been coming in this area has been pushing up, and same thing here, pushed down in here. So I laid that out. In addition to that, the 38.2 fib level was right in this same area. So when price was pushing back up here, this was late. This is actually London session, middle of London session. I had some stops here, or some sell limit orders rather. They initiated. I got into another couple orders like right around here, and this thing just dropped, completely dropped. And I was taking a couple stops out, but my target was 31,000, which it basically hit. I mean, it did hit. It smashed through it actually, but it was like eking right there. If I drop down onto the smaller time frames here, see the M5, 15. I also was kind of just. I think it was like, well, this candle, I guess, when it closed, because this is at 31,000 still, it closed like this, but it was like, it was like hitting, it was like pushing, I was like, so I just said, I want to close it out. So I closed them out right there at like 30. Let me see, get the cameras. Yeah, you see, because with the spread, it wasn't even closing initially, so I just closed it out. So basically locked it in there. Obviously I went through, so I could have just left it and I would have locked in the full. That was a 1 to 5 right there. And then I could have also trailed it a bit more, but I was just happy considering I was, despite doing this trade, I didn't do the video analysis obviously beforehand. So I was kind of, I was sure of my analysis and I saw what was happening. But being that I was running around so much with, things going on, going to the hospital and so forth, I didn't have the time to sit down and really analyze it and clearly think about it the way I like to. So when it got to that point, I just closed out and I was just satisfied for what I did, considering everything I was running around doing, not being in my normal domain as I like to be with this. So with that, that was a great move, and I hope to be able to secure more of those in the future. But that was just really, really absolutely textbook, absolutely fantastic. I mean, and it really continued to push down. I could have locked in way more. I mean, I don't like to think like that and think, in those terms because you condition yourself to be greedy and always looking for more and more and more. So, but the reality is, I mean, I could have, being smart about it, I could have still trailed my stops because here, even on the M15, it hit my target at the 31,000. I could have just had my stop, a little bit higher. I was thinking like 31.1, something like that, 31,100. Could have done something like this maybe, 31,117, something like that, and then just let it bounce around. If it would have hit there, I still would have locked in a good 1 to 4, and then just continue to ride it down. Just continue to ride it down, letting it ride. Keeping about 100 points as it's riding. So as it's going down here, I would have set it to like here. As it's pushing down to like this level here, I would have dropped it down to probably about here, and so on and so forth. I could have just, and that's what I have found with US30 has been helping me the most. When it starts to go in my direction a good bit, I lock in profits as I'm going. I have my overall target, whatever that might be, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, whatever it is. But as that's going, I'm locking in and I start at 150 points. When I'm up 150 points, I lock in 50. So I'm, 50 points locked in and I still have a 100-point buffer that it's running. And if it comes all the way back and stops me out, well, at least I locked in 50 points. I mean, could it come back, stop me out, go to my entry and a little past and not hit my initial 100-point stop and then come back in my direction? Yes, of course. But I've found that, if it's going to go up 150 points in my direction and then it's going to just slam back in the other direction, there's going to be a lot of, there's a good chance that it might just go past and, go to my negative 100-point initial stop and stop me out. So I've been locking in as I go, and I found that it's been helping me. And it also gives me a level of stress-free trading because as I'm trading and I'm going about my day, I can know that, all right, well, I might not be at my TP yet, but I've locked in 100 points or I've locked in, 200 points or whatever it is. So even if it goes against me, I'm done. I'm not done. I'm locked in. I'm in profit. I don't have to think, oh man, this thing's almost at my TP. I hope it hits my TP and it doesn't go all the way back still and stop me out. So locking in as I go, not letting a winner turn into a loser. That's something that I myself have been practicing. And I think with US30, it makes a lot of sense because when US30 goes into a flow, it will go into that flow for a good ways sometimes. So you kind of lock yourself in. You're taking advantage of the continuation of the wave while locking in profits as you go, guaranteeing that okay, even if it comes back and goes the other direction, that's it. I'm stopped out in a good amount of profit. So that's what I've been doing, and I'm gonna try to refine that a little bit more and continue on with that. So with that was a great textbook trade on Friday. And now what I'm looking for starting and going into the new week, video's already running a little long, longer than, try to keep these about 5 to 7 minutes normally during the week, but it's Sunday and I haven't posted all week. So what I'm looking for going into the week. Now, price, I believe, is going to push up. I don't think it's going to just keep slamming back down, me personally. I'm going to readjust my fibs here, actually, which I wanted to do once I was back on camera here. So, all right, so let me readjust these fibs. First of all, this big one here, that one, yeah, that one is now, yeah, because that's the 50. So that's now invalidated, I would say. Yeah, that was this push down from here. So I went all the way to the 50. Okay, so this, I'm going to get rid of that one. All right, and then now on the H1, this was that big push down last week, and it came up to that 38.2 Fib level with that zone, and that's where I got into that absolutely textbook awesome trade. You know what? Before I delete my Fib, I'm going to actually, I hate to do this on camera. I don't want to waste everybody's time on camera, but I want to just, you know what? Doesn't matter. I'll reverse later. I want to take some screenshots before I. It's that much of a textbook trade. I want to take screenshots of it and save it for I can refer back to. Anyways, all right. Get rid of this fib here on the H1. Yeah, because it didn't. Well, it didn't hit the 38.2. It didn't hit it actually. Got close, but it didn't hit it, and it did make a lower low. So I don't think the appropriate thing here is to make a new fib from here to here, which would be the only other thing. And that's only a couple hours of data. I think the best thing, or what I'm going to do, is adjust this down to here, actually. So this is now the new lower low. So I think this 38.2 fib level is now around this level here, the lower end of this zone, which is still more or less in this level of structure. And I think price, based on that, there's a good chance that it will push back up to this level again. I don't think it's going to just slam down from here. It might, but I don't think it will. And if it does push down, maybe in the first few hours tonight of Asian session and everything, maybe it'll kind of like, play around in here and bounce off this level. But I think it will ultimately come back up to here, and then that is going to be my entry point that I'm going to be looking for a condition, something like this, exhaustion forming of some kind on the H1 or the H1 M15, lower time frames and confluence, and get into an entry and just try to continue that wave down again, like this trade I took on Friday, and continuing down beyond that. But again, definitely main point, definitely bearish. Not looking for buys. If it is a buy, it's a very short-term buy. A scalping type situation buy, just literally riding up and having a trailing stop behind as well, of course. Very, very short term, but definitely not going to be looking for anything 400 or 500 points for a buy. Me personally, I'm going to be looking for sells this week, and we'll see how it goes. So obviously keep an eye on what's going on and react. Not predict, but react to what's going on. So with that, I will see you guys tomorrow morning, pre-NY session, and have a great rest of your Sunday.